Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to yet another makeup and movie review video. In today's video I'm going to be reviewing Jordan Peele's Candyman. It is his new take on Candyman. Candyman is an old movie series from the 90s, and now he has taken it and brought it into 2021 with a whole fresh twist to it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new here, hi, my name is Thato and you're most definitely welcome to my channel. Do consider subscribing to the channel if you like this kind of content, and ring that notification bell as well so you get notified every single time I upload a new video. And now let's get into the video. The movie was released on the 27th of August, and we have our main characters. The guy who plays Candyman is Todd Tony. He plays Daniel in the movie, who is Candyman, the first Candyman that we see, like Candyman, like the opening scene Candyman. And he's actually the original Candyman from the three Candyman movies. And we also have Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who plays Anthony McCoy. Then we have Teyonah Parris as Brianna Cartwright. So besides Candyman, Tony Todd has actually played in similar movies such as Scream and Final Destination 5. You've seen Yahya Abdul as in Aquaman as Kane, David Kane. Then we've seen Teyonah Parris as Coco in Dear White People, and she's also starred in Empire. So those are our main characters in this film, or some of our main characters that I want to highlight right now. The directors are Nia Dacosta, Jordan Peele, as well as Coleman Domingo and Tony Todd, and 10 other directors are also listed. One of the directors whose work I really resonated with is Jordan Peele. I've watched some of his work before. Actually, the first piece of work that he's directed that I've seen is Get Out, and that film literally grabbed me. And so because of that, I actually grew interest in his work, and he really hasn't disappointed. He really hasn't disappointed when it comes to the category of thriller horror. Honestly, like, he really hasn't disappointed. He gave us Get Out, and then he built up onto that with Us, and then now here we are with Candyman, and it just keeps on getting better. So the movie is about a scary old man who just randomly gives candy to kids. He has a hook for one, like, he doesn't have an arm, he has a hook for the other arm. And even though obviously it's creepy, but like, even though some people might be like, oh, so what crime is he committing, you later find out that parents actually don't like that he's giving candy to kids. They don't like him. They warn kids to stay away from him. And you also find out that police are actually looking for him because there's been some foul things happening around the neighborhood, and obviously people have been reporting that this is in relation to Candyman. So Candyman is responsible for this. So obviously he's a bad guy. We then also hear a folktale about like a white woman who was a researcher and decided to come to the black neighborhood to really research what's going on. What's up with this Candyman character? Is it like a figment of people's imagination? Why is it that Candyman is responsible for literally every bad thing that goes in this community? Is it some sort of coping mechanism? That was kind of her train of thought. But she was like, let me go down there and actually do some research and check it out and see if this Candyman character actually exists. And at some point, this woman, something in her snaps and she goes crazy, and it is believed that this is when she actually found the Candyman. So it is believed that her search actually led her to finding the Candyman, and somehow she probably got possessed. That's what's believed, and you'd actually think this is like a folktale, but it actually happens to be a true story. and the story was told by Brianna's brother, and it sparked interest in Anthony. In the movie, we also learned that many people or many bodies have been a host for Candyman. So in a way, it feels like Candyman is some sort of spirit or something that maybe takes over the body if you've been chosen by it, or you're the chosen one, you're the next one in line. And that's how people become Candyman. So Candyman is not necessarily like it was one man. There's been many Candyman over the years. And we learned that the original man who became Candyman, so the very first man who became Candyman, he was a black artist way back in the 1880s, and he obviously worked for rich white people. He was very talented, and one day he was just brutally murdered, and so his spirit was at unrest, and that's where the whole cycle of Candyman started. We also learned that people can actually summon Candyman if they look into the mirror and say his name 5 times. He will arrive. And obviously at first when people tried this, they thought, oh, it's just a joke. Obviously that's how, like, it sparks your interest, it intrigues you, and you're like, should I try that? And then obviously they thought maybe it's just a joke, so they tried it, and surprise, surprise, it's real. So yeah, and that's when things usually just take a left turn, and the people who called unto him never really lived to tell the tale, unfortunately. In the movie, Anthony is a struggling artist who lives with his successful girlfriend Brianna, and so basically Brianna is the one supporting them financially currently because Anthony's work is not able to sell that well. And so obviously Anthony is not just chilling, he's trying to grab new inspiration somewhere, something different, something that will inspire his next work that will make him marketable and will put his work out there and people will be willing to buy it. So something that will catch people's attention. He's really trying to do whatever it takes that he gets a piece of art or piece of inspiration that inspires his work to a point where people will want to interact with it and maybe buy it as well. And that's when Anthony hears about the story of Helen from Troy, who is Brianna's brother. And at first they actually thought it's a made-up story, but Anthony looks into it, he researches it and realizes that no, this is actually a true story, and it's actually quite an interesting story. So he follows up and tries to find out more about the story of Helen. And Helen was a white woman who came to the neighborhood, as I've already said, looking for the Candyman. And so now it's a story of Candyman, an intriguing story of Helen as well, and he follows that story and he does some research on it. While he's doing his own research, he ends up going to the laundromat where Candyman was killed, and this is where he meets William Burke, and he has quite some interesting stories to tell. William spills all the tea on Candyman and actually claims that he knew him before he was shot and killed by the police. So at this point, Anthony has heard quite some interesting stories from William, so he keeps on following the story, and William later becomes one of his greatest sources of information on this Candyman story. So obviously at this point you can figure that Anthony is quite interested in the topic of Candyman, and he actually feels like, you know what, this is interesting enough to make it my focal point of my next exhibition, of my next collection. And so he starts working on that. He works on the collection and he names it Say His Name, and basically he tells the story of Candyman and also the legend of saying his name 5 times while looking in the mirror. This is part of his exhibition presentation. Saying his name 5 times in the mirror, and you know, he will appear, he will come through. this is all part of his presentation. So people at the exhibition obviously get to read this, get to see this. It is no surprise because obviously people of different walks and different intellectual levels and different spirits, experimental spirits and just mindsets come through. And so obviously it is some people who came to the exhibition feel the need to actually try summoning Candyman, and so they do the thing. They say his name 5 times in the mirror, and obviously in no time stories of people made the news, of people just rocking up dead, and somehow it is in connection to the exhibition, and particularly the Say My Name or Say His Name collection. This movie is just so well written and so well structured that just as you think, oh, I figured it out, I know what's gonna happen next, their suspense thriller element of it just kicks in, and they just give you a plot twist, but a plot twist that still makes sense. Like, do you get what I mean? It's just so well written. And might I add, obviously because this is a thriller, all is not as it seems. So Anthony's relationship to the Candyman is actually not what it seems. You think this is where it started, but it actually, or you think this is how it is, but it's actually a different form, and it actually started at a different point. So you don't get to see all the elements. They give you something, but they withhold something at the same time. The legend of Helen as well is not the way it was told. It's just, it's different. It's not the way you think it is. It's actually not told correctly, and we also find that out later on in the movie. Throughout this movie there's actually a lot of folk tales being told, and they use shadow puppets in depicting their story, and I actually enjoyed their use of shadow puppets. I felt like it added another dimension to the film. I feel like this also added like an element of, oh, this is how stories were told in the past, and this is part of like a past art form that I don't want to necessarily say is getting forgotten, but they're bringing it back in the film, and I really just enjoyed that. The story was well written, it unfolded well, the costumes and the sets was well designed, as well as the acting as well. It was so on point. I think Yaya got the memo, and he honestly delivered on the Anthony character. The other person who I feel like also slayed their job is Coleman on the Williams character. He honestly slayed. He honestly slayed it, because I'm like, that William character, like if you watch the movie you will see like there's something dodgy about William. Personally, if I ever met William, I would be kind of suspicious. He's very suspicious to me. Like from the very beginning, before you know his backstory, the way he appears, like his first scene in the movie, is just very suspicious for me. And then we know his backstory, and you're like, oh, that's how it connects. Oh, that's what's up. Okay, I see you, William. And then, like, still, man, there's still something fishy about him. Like, there's still something that you're just like, I don't know, my guy. I don't know. I can say this for sure on the William character: expect the unexpected. Like, honestly, he's the wild card. Like, expect the, like, just as you think you figured him out, have you really honestly, oh my god, I cannot. Up until the very end of the movie, he is such a wild card. At the end we see who William is and how William came to be, and we see Brianna and what happens to Brianna and the Candyman. And some of these lost scenes bring up questions like, what did Candyman see in Brianna, and what did Candyman see in William? Why did he choose to treat them the way that he did? You know, like, why did he do what he did with them? Maybe Candyman is just a bitter, broken spirit sticking around for hundreds and thousands of years, and that's what he wants to do. for revenge purposes, to avenge himself for what was done to him, or maybe he sees himself as a necessary evil. So like, which one is it? And you know, like, you come to see his actions and how they're so, at first it felt like they're so random and so uncalculated, and now it just feels like he's very specific in his actions. At the end of the movie, Candyman finally speaks. He's asked by one of the cops, "Who are you?" And he says,
"I am the writing on the walls. I am the sweet smell of blood on the street. The buzz that echoes in the alleyways. They will say I shed innocent blood. You are far from innocent, but they'll say you were. That's all that matters."
This movie, from the title and the plot, it just reminds me of childhood and how we were told to stay away from strangers. You know, how we were taught to stay away from strangers. And I remember being taught, don't talk to strangers, don't get in the car with strangers, even if they offer you sweets. So that for me is literally what I remember, because I'm like, clearly the sweets thing, this adult strangers offering kids sweets, has been around for a very long time, honestly. I mean, I remember the factor of like, don't take sweets from strangers, just don't get in the car with strangers. The sweets factor being reiterated and just, you know, driven home. And I think that is because it was so prevalent, you know. I think that is why the point had to be driven home for kids. And I think it's also because sweets, kids love sweets. And even kids that you can't bribe with money yet, who don't understand the concept of money, they understand sweets. And so it's a way that predators can literally lure in kids. That is what this whole Candyman character reminded me of, from, you know, his storyline and his tagline. So this is basically a sign for you. If you are a parent, remind your kids, don't take sweets from strangers, don't get into a car with strangers. Just remind them that. It's a little bit on a side note, but I hope this movie made you think about it if you are a parent, like your children's safety, and just teaching them and being more purposeful about it. I feel like the team behind this movie was also strategic and purposeful enough in the release date being around almost you know, Halloween time. Even though it was like 2 months early, but they were giving people something to watch, just in case, you know, you wanted to get ready for that season. Here's Candyman for your eyes. Here is something that you can actually keep yourself entertained with. Jordan Peele honestly does it for me. He had a way of warming us up. He started out nicely and just enough thriller elements with Get Out, and he kept on building up with us, and then now with Candyman. So honestly, phenomenal work. Like, I stand. I stand. I don't know about y'all, but personally, I don't mess with spirits. I just don't. I don't do that whole summoning spirit shenanigans. So I didn't even bother to try. Like, even though it's like a fictional thing, I never even bothered to try. Ooh, let me try summoning Candyman while standing in the mirror, because it'll be cute. For whatever other reason people do it for. Is it like to prove that it's just a movie, it's not real? I do not know. But it's not, it's really not my cup of tea. I'd rather not know, I'd rather not find out, I'd rather not engage, you know what I mean? So anything, I feel like horror movies that have to do with spirits are very, they're a little on the wild side for me. So personally, I'd rather watch it, it's a movie, and then move on, not try and attempt anything they do in the movie. Thank you very much. But I mean, if you want to try it out, knock yourself out and let us know how it goes. But personally, I wouldn't recommend you try it out. Anyways, everything aside, I'd say this movie is a great movie. I'd say it delivered on its promise as per title and genre. And the plot is just amazing. It's well written. It unfolds beautifully, and the acting and bringing this whole vision to life is absolutely stunning. I'd rate this movie a 9 out of 10 and would definitely recommend that you watch it if you are into thriller horror type of movies, or if you've watched any of Jordan Peele's previous work and you actually enjoyed it. I'd also recommend this movie for you. If anything, this movie actually sparked interest in me to go back and watch the Candyman movie series. I haven't done that yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to doing that because I feel like this is a very interesting story. I read up on the previous Candyman, and I feel like they seem to be quite interesting. So I actually want to follow the story, and I want to start at the beginning in the first movie released in 92, I think, and then just come with them like that up until Candyman 3 and see what happens in the movies. Anyways, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, the movie review up until this point, let me know. If you have a comment in the comment section down below, definitely do click that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this review, and maybe share it with somebody who you think might need it or might want to see this review. And remember, if you aren't subscribed yet, please join the fam, support my channel by clicking that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
Tell everyone.